Jeanette White. I live in Putney. I'm currently in the Senate. I've been there for 8 years. And I'm not going to tell you much about my background because I can tell you that individually if you're interested in it. I'm running for the Senate again because I do love public policy. I like being part of the process to determine public policy. I think I'm a good listener. I work very well with people. I tend to look at all sides of an issue and listen to all sides of an issue. And I'm not going to, there are a lot of issues that you're probably interested in. We know what the big issues are: the economy, the budget, Vermont Yankee, healthcare. I'm not going to talk about any of those right now because you'll ask questions, but there are a couple issues that we haven't talked about in this campaign at all, I don't think. One of them is hunger, and one of them is homelessness and affordable housing. And we need to focus more of our attention on those issues. These are issues that help determine everything else that's going to happen. And we are number 14 in the country. Vermont is number 14 in the country in terms of food insecurity with consequences. And what that means is that there are more people hungry in this state than in all those other states underneath number 14. And I think that's a huge issue that we have to address, and we haven't addressed it. So I want to go back to work on some of these issues. I chair government operations. I've been on health and welfare. I'm on institutions right now, and a big issue there is the Brattleboro Retreat and closing down the Vermont State Hospital and making those beds available other places. And the retreat has been completely left out of the administration's plan for this, and we need to make sure the retreat is part of this plan. And government operations is going to be looking at, I hope, is going to be looking at open government, public records. What does a meeting mean in this day and age with emails? I'm sure some of you who are on select boards and other boards know that you communicate back and forth. Is that a public meeting? Isn't it a public meeting? So we intend to look at all of those issues plus elections issues. So I'll take questions afterwards when we get into more detail on the topics. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Valerie Stewart, and I got into this race for 3 reasons. I got into this race, number 1, because I care deeply about Vermont. Number 2, because I care about Vermonters. And number 3, because I care about our children and our grandchildren, and I'm committed to safeguarding their future. I see serving in the legislature as a wonderful opportunity to help address the needs of our community and our state. I've enjoyed making a difference in the local community for the past 16 years through my involvement as either a board or a staff member at Youth Services, the Strolling of the Heifers, the Brattleboro Museum and Art Center, and the Sunrise Rotary Club, among others. I also believe that my 30-year career, which spans both the public and the private sector, makes me well qualified for this job. I have a special blend of experience, having been on both sides of the fence, in the public sector here in Vermont for 16 years and in the private sector in New York City for 14 years. Since moving to Vermont almost 17 years ago, I have worked primarily in the nonprofit sector, and my husband and I have brought up our 2 children in the public school system. They're both now either in college or on their way to college, and they did a great job in the public school system, which we heavily supported. Prior to moving here, I worked in the private sector for 14 years in New York City in communications. The 3 issues I'm most interested in addressing are protecting Vermont's agricultural landscape, helping Vermont's people, and, as I said, working to safeguard Vermont's future. I am passionate about protecting our state's...
Hillary. Good evening. I'm Hillary Cook. I'm running for Vermont State Senate to represent Windham County up in Montpelier. I'm a 30-year resident of Windham County. I'm a 30-year resident of Windham County, Chuck. And I'm a 30-year resident of Wyndham County. I lived in Dover, moved up here in 1980. In '86, I moved to Newfane, where we raised our 3 kids, and they went to Newfane Elementary School and Leland and Gray Union High School. I moved to Brattleboro in '99, and I've lived here ever since. I live on Chapin Street in District 3. What got me into this race? 2 years ago, the first half of the last biennium, the legislature, the House voted to override the governor's veto, add 20-some-odd million to that budget, and knowing that there was a significant deficit in the next year, I came to question that. It seemed like a funny way to run a legislature. So I put that in the back of my mind. Really didn't prompt me to run for office, but last February there was a vote in the Senate to effectively close Vermont Yankee. And it came at a time when there was enormous confusion. There was about the tritium leak. I considered that vote to be knee-jerk legislation with a side order of gubernatorial politics. What's happened since then is last week there was a Department of Health report that said that thank you. I'm sure we'll cover many